I know for me, like looking at my quarters, my first quarter turn to the right, my left lat is nowhere to be found.
That was my worst quarter
Was it?
turn. Yeah.
Yeah, same.
My worst quarter turn was the first one, and my worst pose was the front double by. So
Really?
like the first thing they see ever is like my worst everything.
What was it about your front double that?
I can't, like, even when my back was like my best body part and really, really wide, I had no lats from the front.
So
could not flare, I don't know what. I don't know if it was shoulder mobility but I just could not. And so I would never even hit it. I would, like, in our comparisons, I'd go like this, put like this, wait till everyone hit it.
And hit it last.
And they'd be here and they'd say, down, up, so.
Strategic.
Yeah, they could never even see me in it.
You know what's funny? Actually, one of your other clients messaged me on Instagram yesterday asking if we would do something about mobility for posing and like how to get.
Who is that?
Doug, actually.
Doug.
I don't want to say his handle. I guess in Lupine Ways.
Huh?
In Lupine Ways.
Oh, his name's Doug?
Yeah. Maybe he gave me a different name.
Maybe
to
that's
stay
like,
anonymous. I know he works in like super high security, so he like
Yeah,
can't share life details.
I think I have a different name for.
That is so funny.
Yeah.
Oh God, that's hilarious.
Yeah, because I don't think I have a Doug. I know in Lupine Ways. But
Yeah.
I'm trying to think now. I'm drawing a blank to what.
I wouldn't be surprised if he like has to keep things
That's
super under
interesting.
wraps.
That's
he does
really
like
good.
super high security work, like ex-military kind of stuff.
That's really weird.
Yeah, but no, he was asking about, and actually a guy locally too was saying that he can't get any of his lat spread to show in his front double, and he feels like it's a shoulder mobility. He just competed at nationals.
I think that's what mine was mostly. I just try to figure out like because some people like they just like opens up, and I think it would be not because I can never even get my hands back to the bar on a squat, but I think it's got to be more than that. It's got to be something with the humerus. I don't know. I'm not. I just could not open them at all.
I mean, we could talk about this for a long time, but I think some of that might be again related to like rib cage position, because that's going to affect how scap sits, and how scap sits is going to orient the glenoid so that the humerus sits in it in a different degree of rotation. So like if you can't crank out, or you're really relying a lot of like elbow supination instead of external rotation, you're not going to get the same lat spread because you can't externally rotate anymore.
Yeah.
If you're just maximizing supination. Interesting.
Yeah, because I could, like a lat spread, I could really open my lat.
Yeah, I know. Like I've seen some of your old pictures and like
that's why it was so frustrating, because I felt like that, like my rear lat was like my best pose, and then front by I had no lats.
Nowhere.
Yeah, it's like, how's that?
But it's such a different shoulder position, because if you hit your rear lat spread, you're internally rotated, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, which totally makes sense.
Yeah, it's hard to explain that pose to people too, because everyone, what they want to do is they want to
just hunch forward.
Well, they want to like shoulder spread.
Yeah.
And it's not. You actually don't, because if I always say like if this is your back, is this how wide it is? Now, if you open your shoulder, if you shoulder spread and you curve your back, now it's only that wide.
Right.
You actually make it smaller. You don't want to go like that, because you're taking something that's flat and curving it like that.
Yeah.
So the two-dimensional thing the judges see is now smaller.
Right.
So you actually want to.
So funny.
You want to flare your lat, and actually what you want to do is you want to keep your shoulders out. So
open.
You want them as wide as possible.
It's so funny, because at Universe, when I was backstage with Kenny, he was trying to get me to open my back, and he just kept me to roll my shoulders forward. And like intuitively to me, I was like, the power lifter in me, the presser in me knows I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
Which is just going to narrow everything
Yeah.
and really.
I don't like that, because I think people naturally go towards like a winged scapula.
Exactly. That, or they just dump their shoulders forward, and at that point you're just creating this weird shape that if you're looking from below.
And it's pulling your lats in rather than out. Yeah, I always hate that when guys do that, and then they go like that. It's like, the surface area is great, but the judges see the two-dimensional.
You literally turned yourself into a parachute. However, you've leaned that parachute forward.
So, like, if we took a tape measure around your back, it's really wide, but the judges just see the two-dimensional width, and now that's narrow.
It's so funny how, again, like the optimization of what the judges see versus how wide you actually make yourself. Like those two variables are so fun to tweak with.
Well, mathematically, it's because it's a three-dimensional projection on a two-dimensional plane.
Yeah, that's a great way of explaining it.
Or like it's just your silhouette, basically.
Right.
Yeah, that's how like any pose, that's how you should probably imagine what does my silhouette look like?
I think a lot of people have a hard time visualizing that, because I think in order to see the silhouette, you have to first appreciate what's happening three-dimensionally.
Yeah.
Like, you almost have to think about what all the variables are, and then like how to kind of move the checkers on the board to make the silhouette actually what you want it to be.
It's another thing that's interesting is how unfamiliar people are with their body. Yeah. People who didn't like grow up as athletes, or because I could imagine like a gymnast. I bet you like an ex-gymnast is probably incredibly easy to teach how to pose.
Totally. A lot of the physique pros, like, they're all from like a cheer, gym, or dance background. And so they hit these side poses where getting all this rotation and really like maximizing their negative space to create the silhouette they want. And I'm like, God, what a background to have.
Yeah, it always blows my mind, like people put all the time into contest prep, and then the way they'll hit poses, even like Ronnie Coleman. And it's like, I always like, what are people, I think, what are people thinking? If I'm doing a side chest, are they thinking, my arm goes here, they're just like the bare bones, like I need an arm here and I need a leg here. Or are they
From
thinking,
someone who sucks at posing, that's 100%.
Yeah, because it's like,
is my shoulder in the right position? Even if my body is totally oriented the wrong direction, is my shoulder in the right position? And it's like, you can't.
Yeah, because it's like, it's almost like, like, have you heard cargo cults? Mm-mm. It's like after World War II, like little islands in the Pacific would, because the military came in and created like landing strips and brought all these supplies, and so the people got all this food and supplies from the American military, and then when the war was over, they cleaned up and left. Well, these people got used to all this food and like modern amenities, right. And so they didn't know what to do, and very primitive cultures. So they built like runways, and they put coconuts like ear things, like a headset, and they built like towers. They did like all they basically recreated those things with the resources they had. Yeah, and because they thought like that would bring the planes and supplies again. They didn't realize that there was like what the airplanes really were, and I feel like it's almost like that. Like people like they see the real basics, like, oh well, the side chest is this leg's bent, this arm's bent. They don't like see beyond that, like it's like they're doing all the surface level things, but they don't. That's not going to make an airplane with an engine.
Completely makes sense. As a very novice bodybuilder, that's 100% what posing feels like. And maybe for you, it's the kind of thing like you've just done it for so long.
Well, it's weird how things like that happen, because I don't remember a time because I was always into it. Even when I was like 7, I was hitting poses in the mirror. So it's like you kind of like you forget what. Yeah, I remember. This is like way off topic, but there's a famous physicist who won a Nobel Prize, but he said one time like he was a terrible teacher because he couldn't remember a time he couldn't do calculus. He couldn't remember not knowing what a derivative was. And it's I think like that can happen. I think eventually you do something so long, it's hard. It's like probably why like first year teachers are the best teachers, because they remember what it was like to learn it. Where you've taught in the same class for 30 years, you don't remember how to learn it anymore. You don't remember a time you didn't know it.